Hi. If you find this content useful, please support my channel on Patreon. Become a member of the family and get yourself the offered rewards. You find the link in the description. Hi, and welcome back to the second part of Make Your Own Kicks. At the beginning, just a little disclaimer from my side. As for some, all we are talking about might sound perhaps a bit extreme. Please don't get me wrong. I don't want you to think that kind of problems we are talking about in the series happen all the time. If you find a sample which fits perfectly, go and use it. Take the sample and call it a day. There's no need to repair something which isn't broken. Nevertheless, there might happen situations where it's not that easy or you don't find a sample which fits well. These videos shall just enable everybody to identify problems when they occur and to know how to solve them. Until now, we have talked about changing the pitch just in relation to phase. But of course there could be other situations why you want to do it. Not just for kicks, but a whole lot of different percussive elements like open hi-hats, snares, claps, toms. If you like better how it sounds, if you have the feeling it jails better with the overall sound, why not? The general rule applies here too. If it sounds good, it is good. For tuning a kick to a different pitch, the splitting technique from the last video works already quite well. But we need to look a bit deeper than just the pitch-phase relationship. What about time? If I take the example kick from the last video and compare it to the wishes I might have, for example, it shall be 1/8 note long and it shall have a solid pitch for the most part of the second 16th. I got these wishes fulfilled at a tempo of 150 BPM. But what happens if I need to tune the sample? If I need to pitch it down, okay, the sample gets longer, but that's not so much of a problem as I can shorten it afterwards. But what if I need to pitch it up? The sample gets much too short, and there's no way to fix that. The same problem happens if I want to use this kick in a song with a slower speed. Already at 125 BPM, I get the same problem as I had with pitching the kick up 5 semitones, not to speak about an even slower speed. Of course, I might be lucky, and I can live with a shorter kick in this situation, but what if not? Time stretch isn't an option. This would change the sound of my clean tail too much. One option could be to search for longer samples with the right pitch and puzzling something together with the splitting method. This can work, but chances are high that you're running into trouble again. Not to speak about the time required. But there is a really easy solution to get rid of all of these problems. Synthesize your kicks. This gives you the ultimate flexibility to every aspect and every single wave cycle of your kick. And at the very end, it's not hard to do. Every synth can do it more or less, as the most part of a kick is just a pitch sweep with a sine wave. With the 3x oscillator, just turn down the volume of Os 2 and 3. Turn down the pitch of oscillator 1 and enter some 8th notes, for example at F3. Turn down the attack, sustain and release. Right-click hold, set it to 1 step and do the same for the decay. This sounds already quite familiar. To add the pitch sweep, turn down to 0 everything except the decay, which we set to 1 step as well. Crank up the modulation amount to maximum. Et voila! Perhaps your first own kick is born. It's for sure not the best kick in the world, but it does a basic job at least. And the best part, you can manipulate it 100% to your liking. Slower speed? No problem. An 8th note stays always an 8th note, no matter at which tempo. You need a different pitch? No problem. no side effects, easy peasy. Perhaps some fine-tuning, but that's done in a sec. Of course, no one would consider this a good sounding kick, but it shows how easy it is to get in the right direction, and the basic principles are always the same. What about our layering method? Our kick until now lacks a bit of the click and the punch. We can add that with ease. If I recall the image of our example kick before, it got a very distinct shape. The click at a high amplitude, followed by this dip and some kind of bubble afterwards. Especially this bubble is what we create with our 3x oscillator. So let's try to shape it a bit. And now let's fill the gap at the beginning. If we've got already a large collection of kick samples, why not recycle them for our needs here? That's already very similar to the kick sample we had before, but now with a full control over length, pitch, punch, everything we want. And how long did it take? Do you think browsing through hundreds of kick samples to find the one matching takes less time? I think this already gave me a result I could definitely live with. But let's take this concept even further. Not only that, for example, the 3x oscillator cannot be used in patcher, but I even want to have more control over the synthesized part. Let's start from scratch, but this time with Sytrus. Sytrus offers some nice features on top. Let's set the right octave. Our previous example using the 3x oscillator lacked at first place of the click. A nice trick to emulate the kind of click is to change the phase of the oscillator. As the waveform starts now on the top of a cycle instead at the 0 line, this rapid raise of the amplitude causes this click, which we can use to our benefit. I set the volume envelope to tempo, raise the attack to maximum to keep my click at the beginning. I don't need the decay marker and get rid of the sustain note. Hold for the first 16th and decay to the second. This gives us our wish timing and tail after 1/8. The pitch envelope get a length of 1/16, as the second half of the kick shall have a solid pitch. Again, we crank up the modulation amount to maximum, which means in Sytrus plus minus 4 octaves. Because we need to use the whole negative range too, means we are pitching the sound down to 4 octaves, we have to raise the ratio to 8 to compensate the pitch. Finding now the right positions is a bit of trial and error. This is the most important section, which creates the punch of the kick, how soft or how hard it hits. The flexible multi-segment envelopes in Sytrus makes it a breeze to create any shape we like. For example, the dip after the click and the nice bubble afterwards. For a pure synthesized kick, this is already not bad. But I personally don't like this laser shot-like attack, and a normal synthesizer with a limited pitch modulation range of 8 octaves doesn't let me go further. Which is, by the way, not just image line synths, but most of the others too, like Serum, Silence or Vital. Again, for me, the most flexible way to create a nice click is to layer a sample on top. I lower the attack to make room for the sampled attack, and reuse the sampler we had before. Now I can tweak anything else to my liking. Again, the sky is the limit here. Another little trick you can use to enhance the attack of your kick is to use a second oscillator and set it to white noise. A short decay, or perhaps high-pass filtered. Or perhaps create a bit of ambient for the kick using the FX section of Sytrus. I cannot urge you enough to get familiar with creating your own kicks. Nothing else can offer you such a flexibility apart from being creative and making something you can really call your own. This alone could perhaps be interesting for one or the other. Enough for today. I think you've got plenty to explore now. Enjoy making your own kicks. Stay tuned, and thank you for watching.